So now we have a very simple data and you want to create an interesting dashboard from here. That means if I click OPEX, it shows OPEX. I click CAPEX, it shows CAPEX. Okay, but before I proceed, let me read this table. This table has OPEX and CAPEX, operating expenses and capital expenses. And then this table, we have 5 different companies or football clubs, Arsenal until Manchester City. We have the forecasted data, we have the actual data. So now if just say you want to create this a dashboard, an interesting presentation, how you can do it? So like what I told you, if you remember, you need to create a dashboard, you need to have raw data in a table format, pivot table, and then dashboard. Dashboard means a chart. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to highlight all this. Make sure you highlight these spaces as well. Highlight all these and you go to data. All right, you go to data and then you click from table slash range. Can you see this icon from table slash range? Maybe you can type number 1 in the chat box if you can see from table slash range. Okay, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this into a interesting dashboard. So I'm going to create from table slash range and then you will notice a small box will appear. Can you see this box? Maybe you can type number 2 if you can see this. Okay, and then I'm going to press OK. So you will be navigated to Power Query Editor. Okay, Power Query Editor is something that you can massage the data. All right, so what I'm going to do is, of course, we have the OPEX, CAPEX, Arsenal, Chelsea, up to Manchester City. All right, so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to make it interesting. I'm going to press go to transform. Can you see this icon called transpose? If you can see transpose, maybe you can type number 3 in the chat box. Wow, somebody typed number 3 too fast. Okay, okay, so transpose, and then once you transpose, you will notice that your shape has been rotated. Meaning to say, initially your shape has OPEX, CAPEX appears on the column, Arsenal and Focus is on the row. Okay, but now if just say I press transpose, the shape has changed. That means Arsenal and Focus is appears on the column section and OPEX and CAPEX appears on the apex on the row. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I just want to massage this data. I want to clean this data. All right, so the first step is I'm going to click all this. Okay, I highlight all these. I press right click. When I press right click, can you see the line called remove column? If you can see remove column, maybe you can type number 4 in the chat box. All right, so remove column, and then there you go. So you have football club, you have the OPEX and forecast and actual, you have OPEX and CAPEX. Okay, so the next step is you have null, NULL. Of course, you don't want this. And of course, Arsenal is for actual, Chelsea is for actual. So it's not null. So what you need to do is you press right click. When you press right click, can you see the line called fill? If you can see the fill line, maybe you can type number 5 in the chat box. Okay, so fill and then fill down. So when I press fill down, you will notice the null has replaced by the data above data. So Arsenal has converted to null. All right, so now you have Arsenal, you have forecast actual. Okay, and then the next thing what I do is I go to the home ribbon, and then can you see the icon called use first row as header? If you can see use first row as header, maybe you can type number 7 in the chat box. Okay, what does it mean use first row as header? Okay, in this table, in this data, this is your first row. Null, null, OPEX, CAPEX. This is your first row. So what happens is when I click use first row, this OPEX will come over here. Meaning to say, once I click this, you will notice that your OPEX and CAPEX appears the title. Okay, do you notice the difference? If you notice the difference, maybe you can type number 7 in the chat box. Okay, all right, 7 and backslash. Interesting. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click OPEX and I'm also going to click CAPEX. Okay, I'm going to highlight this. If you remember earlier exercise, I go to transform and I unpivot column. So when I unpivot means it appears in one column. Okay, let me click this. So now your OPEX and CAPEX appear in one column. So what I do is I just name this as maybe football club. I name this as maybe type. I name this as item. I name this as maybe Indian currency, Indian rupees. Okay, if you're from Malaysia, maybe you can put ringgit Malaysia. If you're from US, you can put US dollar. It's up to you. Okay, and then I go to home, and then the icon here is close and load. So I just click here. So now your data, it will appear in a table format. All right. So you have football club, you have type, you have item, you have Indian rupees. So from here, basically, you can actually insert pivot table, and then it's up to you if you want to use the existing worksheet or new worksheet. So if just say I click new worksheet, okay, so over here, and then maybe I'll just put football club over here, item over here, and Indian rupees. So now it has a total of forecast and actual. Maybe the type I can actually put in the column. So now you have actual and forecast, and I don't want the grand total. So what I do is I go to design. Okay, that's a ribbon called design. And can you see grand total? If you can see grand total, maybe you can just type number 8 in the chat box. Okay, so what I can do is maybe you can just remove for the column section. That means you just on for column. Okay, so then you don't have this. So like I told you, I want to clean this data. I press right click. I go to format cells and I change to accounting, none, and there you go. So now you have this data, and then you can actually create a pivot chart. So this is your pivot chart. Okay, so Indian rupees, I just click this, hide all fill. I just remove this and remove the grid line, remove legend, sorry, include legend, data labels, and chart title. It's up to you if you want to include as well. Okay, so I just want this presentation, and simultaneously I want the pivot chart analyze. I want slicer, and I choose item, and there you go. So now you have this dashboard. Okay, so you have the slicer, and then you have this. But sometimes when you present to your manager, you present in a different tab. That means what I do is I create a new tab. Maybe I'll just put this as a title. Okay, so this is a title, and I just copy this, cut, and I paste it over here. Okay, and then I just copy this and paste it over here. Okay, so now this is your performance, and then what I'm going to do is, okay, as you can see, of course, we do have the title. Maybe I'll just go to pivot table, analyze, and remove this. So this item, I'll just put it on the filter. So you have this. So I'll just put as performance. Okay, so equal all prostophy space prostophy and then I put here performance. Okay, so equal here. So what happens is if I put OPEX performance, it shows OPEX performance. But let me upkeep this, make it bigger so that you can see clearly. Okay, so I think this is too big. All right, so maybe I'll change this to blue color and yellow. Okay, blue and white font. So when I click CAPEX performance, it shows the CAPEX performance. If just say I just put this, if just I put OPEX, it shows OPEX. So you basically, with just one click, you can actually present this to your manager. Okay, so before I proceed, let me ask you one question. Okay, maybe you can just answer this in by typing the chat box. Will you present to your manager in this data, or will you present to your manager in this format? Okay, which one you will present? Will you present in sheet 11 or will you present in level 4? All right. So maybe you can type in the chat box, which will you present to your manager or to your client or to your lecturer. I strongly believe that with just one click, you will present to your manager the sheet 11. Okay, or maybe the better word will be tab 11. So with just one click, you can show to your manager, okay, manager, this is the performance, this is the highest, and so on. And of course, you notice there is a lines over here. It doesn't look nice. So you can just go to view and you can just untick this grid line, and you will notice that there is no line. So basically, this is how you can actually show to your manager.